Hey folks, so I'm back again, and I think I need to clear up the air a little bit about what happened at autofreaks.com. Okay, as some of you know, I started that website for laoyat.net about 4 years ago from nothing. I mean, seriously, there was nothing there. They never had a dedicated motoring website, and so I was brought in to start up Autofreaks, and it almost got called Revs.my, which I still think is a pretty cool name. But hey, we settled on Autofreaks, and from there, that's how it all started. Me, myself, and I, just the three of us, started this website, and before long, it became one of the more prominent English motoring websites in Malaysia. You know, I'm not shy to say that it's true, and based on a skeleton crew. I think there were at one point the most there were three of us. We still managed to plod along and bring you the latest news and reviews and features from the local and international motoring scene. The thing about it is I love doing what I do. You know, I've been doing this now since the early 90s. That's more than 2 decades. So I can't really see myself doing anything else. And the reason why I'm recording this now is because this truck in front of me has just reminded me of why I love to do what I do. Believe it or not, it's a Toyota Hilux SR. Now, I don't know if you remember the SR, but it was the last of the rigid axle, the twin rigid axle Toyota Hiluxes. And this was the Hilux that Toyota based its reputation on. The you can't kill a Hilux, the go anywhere truck. You know, the go anywhere, do anything truck. It was based on the double rigid axle Hilux. Now, the Hilux continues to sell in vast numbers. I mean, it's ridiculous. If you combined all the other truck sales in Malaysia, I'm talking about lifestyle pickup trucks, combined all from all the brands, Hilux alone outsells all of them combined on a yearly basis. That is the power of the name, you know. And why I'm mentioning that is because name. You know, what is the power of the name? It's actually very, very, very important. And I'll tell you exactly why. Because the name has to grab you and keep you and enthrall you and interest you for years to come. That's what I hoped with Autofreaks. And that's what I'm absolutely positive of what's going to happen with Piston, because that's exactly what happened to me. I'd never heard of Piston. I'll be very honest with you. I'd never heard of Piston.my. It's been around for 2 years, and it's been on the back burner with very regular news updates from the local and international scene. However, there was nobody really spearheading it until now, and that's the reason. Well, I'm not going to cut to the chase. I'll tell you what happened. I was scrolling through social media, and you get these prompts about so and so likes this page, and would you like to like it too? And as I was scrolling, I usually just scroll really fast, and I just stop. The scrolling will just stop, and it stopped directly on this site, on this Facebook page for Piston.my, and I'm like, what's Piston.my? So I clicked on it, and I saw that it was a local website, but I'd never heard of it. Then I went to the very first story, and that was 2015. So I'm thinking to myself now, why haven't I heard about this site? Because I love the name, and even the logo, the T and the piston is actually a piston. Brilliant. And I'm thinking, wow, why haven't I heard of this site? And it's local. It's Malaysian. It's 100% Malaysian. It's a .my. It's not even a .com or a .net. So I clicked on it, and I went through all the stories, and I noticed that it was just a lot of international news stories, and I found out that there wasn't really anyone here in Malaysia uploading on a regular basis. So I called the owner, and I asked him what's his plans with this, and he goes, well, it's just been in the back burner, and maybe this year I'll give some 2018. No, this year I'll give some more emphasis. And I'm like, dude, let's talk. So we met up and found out that this is exactly what I love to do. To upload news, reviews, and I'm driving the new XV now. You've seen the feature on it and the review, but it's not about this car now. It's about the local motoring scene and how it's changed. So finally, I get to the gist of or the topic of what I'm talking about today. The local motoring scene has changed drastically in the last decade, and even more so in the last 2 decades. When I started, it was all print. You know, websites weren't even really known of at that time. There was no Google, there was no Wikipedia. Research was actually thumbing through foreign magazines and leaflets and catalogs, to get your information. Now it's all at a click of a button. And with the advent of the internet and motoring sites, they've sprung up everywhere. I mean, really, I don't want to use the word fungus, but they've really sprung up like fungus after a rain. They're everywhere. Anybody can start a motoring blog overnight, write about something they see in a brochure that interests them, and put it up online. And that's your work. It's online. When I started in a magazine, I did not have my first test car till 6 months later. I was actually writing from press kits and trying to churn up stories from nothing. And we used prints back then. I still remember we had cameras with film. Do you remember what film is? Yeah, we had film. We used camera film, and it was a roll of 36, or if you were in a hurry, you could buy a roll of 12. If you were in a semi-hurry, you could buy a roll of 24. And then when you were done, you just send it to get it developed, and 3 days later you get your prints back, and hope to God you got at least one good opening shot that you can use as your hero shot. And that was the thing with prints. With digital now, it's just snap, 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 choose the best one. You can't do that with film. Snap, 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 choose the best one. When? 3 days later, you've given back the car, you've got no car, you've got no test car left, and you've got a whole bunch of prints that are blur. That's a nightmare scenario, and I can't tell you the number of times I actually had to go back to the importer with my hat in my hand, if I wore a hat, and say, can I please have the car for a couple more hours because all my prints are blur. But yeah, that's how it was. And now with online, if there's one thing that I can say about it, is that it's so fast. I mean, it's unbelievable. I go to events these days, and we hardly talk anymore. Motoring journalists, we hardly talk anymore because we're all so busy uploading to our sites. That's how fast it's become. That's how crazy it's become. How frantic it's become. But you know what? That's part of the fun. And it's not about who gets the story up first. I mean, I don't care if I get the story up first. As long as the story goes up, I'm happy about it. Of course, I'm not talking about like 2 weeks later. You're dead if you think that you can upload a launch story 2 weeks later and people are going to give a damn. They won't. But the speed of things has really gone up, and I find it even more. I mean, if the speed has tripled, then the fun has tripled, because it is easy now to have at least 2 or 3 events a day, sometimes 5. Wednesday, the 10th of January must have been some auspicious day because there were 5 events on that day, and so here we are running around doing what we do, covering events and uploading as we go. Yeah. It's pretty crazy, but it's also still pretty awesome. I gotta pause now because I gotta look for a place to park, but I'll be right back.